Hey guys, uh, so I just got back like literally maybe a half an hour ago. I just got home and changed and stuff. I just got back from seeing Wonder Woman. Uh, I made a Facebook post about it, and I was still in the theater when I did that. I I've been trying to see this movie for weeks. I've been looking forward to seeing it for weeks. I've been hearing incredible things about it for weeks. I've been preparing myself for how great it was going to be for weeks, and I was not prepared for how great this movie was. This movie was fantastic. I loved almost everything about it. There's one big critique I have, and that's it. And it didn't take away too much from the movie. I felt honestly, the movie was this was such a breath of fresh air in so many ways. Oh, where do I don't even know where to start talking about this movie. I think I'll just begin with I don't think I realized it as much in Batman v Superman as I did in this movie. Although I realized it some to some degree in Batman v Superman, even though that movie sucked. Wonder Woman's part in it, I really saw this. The casting alone is perfect, and I don't know how they figured that out because the only thing I've ever seen Gal Gadot, however you pronounce her name, I don't want to try to butcher it. Um, the only thing we've seen her in before, the only thing that I've ever seen her in before, and I think the only big notable movie that she's ever been in before was Fast Five and Fast and the Furious Six. Um, and while I didn't necessarily hate her performance in that, there was nothing special about it, and there was nothing to show that she had any kind of range that she clearly does have, as seen in this movie. But after seeing this, there are, I was talking with my girlfriend about this on the way home. There are two actors, for me personally. There's only two times that I have seen an actor play a comic book character so iconically that they are that character to me. Or sorry, three actually. I had three. That was four. I had three. Um, uh, that is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Are the three times that I saw that actor play that character and was like, "You're that character now to me, like forever. You just are." Um, there are other roles that I really like a specific actor in, but I really like Chris Evans as Captain America. I can see other people being. I can see Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth playing Captain America. I really can. They have the range for it. I totally think they could do it too. Chris Evans is probably a slightly better fit for it than them, but they could pull it off. Uh, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman for me now. Like, I think from now on, when I think of Wonder Woman, I am going to picture her. And that's incredible, to do with a character that, I've seen so many other places and different cartoons and different comic books. That's incredible that she managed to make that for me, but she really captured this role. Um, I loved everything about this movie, really, more or less. There's one thing I didn't like that I'll talk about. I should mention I'm gonna get into spoilers. I'll warn you before I do, though. I'm gonna start off by just giving general thoughts. Unless you wanted to go into this movie completely blind, which I totally understand. There's people who want to do that, and I get that. However, if you did, I don't know why you clicked on this video. But anyway, I it was incredible to me how well how this movie was such a balancing act, and they pulled it off so well that it was set in World War One and did not shy away, honestly, from the horror that comes with that, and how awful that time was, and how terrifying and just evil that time feels. Seeing people come off of a battlefield, and there's a scene where they show a guy with his leg cut off screaming and all this stuff. And they managed to present that and yet still give this movie, still deliver this movie with so much warmth and hope. And I think it really does come out of Gal Gadot's performance and the writing for the character combined. I don't think it would have worked if either one of those weren't as good as they are. I think they actually work together so well because you really see this whole movie through her eyes in a way. It's a coming of age story. It really is about Wonder Woman becoming Wonder Woman and finding out who she is. Um, there's so much great fight sequences in this movie that are actually like stylistically like feel very like almost cartoony in a way, but with like a sense of grounding to them as well, which I actually really enjoyed because it made it feel like a comic book, but it also made it feel real world at the same time. Like it was a very strange yet great mixture that they managed to pull off. I don't even know exactly how they did it. There was so much in there with like the slow-mo and you really knew exactly what was happening at all times too. It wasn't one of those jump cutty shaky cam fight sequences. None of them were. Not one of them. Even when there was a moment where it felt like it was about to start to get that way, that's when they used the slow motion like so strategically. And they use slow motion well, not like in a Transformers movie where it's like, look, big robots destroying each other in slow motion. It was like, no, they knew exactly when to use the slow motion and exactly when to stop, and it was great. Chris Pine was amazing in this movie, which I'd heard that, and I didn't realize how great he was going to be in this movie. He's an actor with some range because the last movie I saw him in was Hell or High Water, which is he played a completely different character than he did in this movie and did that very well as well and really struck me emotionally the same way he did in this movie. So that was incredible. Yeah, this movie is great. If you guys have not seen it yet, go check it out. Like I said, I've been wanting to see it for a while. I wish I'd gotten to see it sooner because, geez, have I been wanting to see this movie. But yeah, this was fantastic. So I'm gonna get into spoilers now a little bit. I'm gonna talk about the plot of this movie and all the things I loved and the one thing I didn't love, about this movie. But, I loved almost every aspect of this movie. I loved the opening. There are two places in this movie that I teared up. One place where I actually cried. And tearing up, I just have I have a sensitivity toward the cinema for some reason. That's just something that I really love, the theatrical experience. And so when something's done well, I've teared up in the theater during movies that, when asked later about what I thought about them, would say it was all right. But this movie made me cry, which does not happen very often, actually. I'm not saying that as I don't cry very often. It's just the truth. It's just me. It's not because I actually kind of wish I cried more often during movies than I do, but that's just the truth. So I loved the world that they introduced us to at the beginning. They really painted the picture well with the Amazons, and the island, and the shots of women fighting in this movie is incredible. The way they because it's Patty Jenkins. It's the way she took these characters seriously, and really delivered them seriously, in a way that I think a lot of other directors would not have, and a lot of other directors would have. I don't know how to tiptoe around this, so I'm just gonna have to not. But there was something throughout this whole movie that I was trying to figure out what it was. There was just something so incredible about seeing how seriously Wonder Woman is taken, about the way she delivers these lines, the way she delivers this character, the way her presence is in this movie, and what it is that I love so much about it, and what it is that's striking me so hard. And it's a woman who's a superhero who's being taken exactly as seriously as a man who's a superhero. That I've never seen that done that way. even when there have been female superheroes in movies somewhere, I've never seen them taken as seriously. They're always to some degree used as some kind of sex symbol or like kind of pushed in the background and they're not the main hero and all that. They're never, there's just, you can feel something in the way the movie is made that you're not supposed to take them quite as seriously as you're supposed to take these men on screen. And in this movie, Wonder Woman is a superhero that you are supposed to fear and respect and admire, and it's incredible the way they do it. I was blown away. And so I think that's just a really big, like, that's a really incredible thing that we finally got that. It's sad that we didn't get it until now, but it's great that we have it now. But so that was incredible. And so that was obviously the Amazonian warrior characters on the island are taken just as seriously and with that same gravitas. And there's a great fight scene with them where like German soldiers invade their land, and it's really cool. That was really great. And like seeing like the hero's journey start with Diana, and like how her character progresses throughout that sequence and then decides to leave, and there's the point of no return in there. I'm sorry, I just saw this whole movie. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in ninth grade again, like looking at the hero's journey and all the steps because they're all in here. But I loved that, and then that's the thing, is this becomes multiple different movies, but they all work very well. They all keep a fairly consistent tone, and they all bleed into each other perfectly, and so it all works, and it's amazing. But so the next phase of the movie feels like almost like this romantic comedy, sort of, with the serious undertone of the rest of the movie is still implanted into it. Just with all her interactions with Steve Trevor and the things that she learns from him, and like when she has to like just disguise as an average everyday woman in the World War I era, and that's all done really well, and that's great, and there's so many like lessons she has to learn. I'm so glad that No Man's Land scene is in there, because I heard all the news about like this Warner Brothers tried to pull that scene apparently, and Patty Jenkins was just like, no, we need this here, and they actually fought hard for it, but she fought harder and got it, and that's incredible, because I honestly think this movie would have taken it would have been great still, but it would have taken a hit if it didn't have that scene, because that scene was just transforming, and that was like the moment where she is Wonder Woman. Like from that point forward through the rest of the movie, up until then, she's kind of like, still, like, you haven't seen her really throw down, and that's the point where like she means business and you take her so much more seriously. And then there's a fight scene immediately after that in a building that's really awesome, and then at the end when she like pushes the guy out the window with her shield and then jumps through it, and there was such well directed action sequences that I've not seen anything like that in a long time. Because people gotten really lazy with filming their action sequences. So anyway, that was all great. And then I really loved when Steve Trevor made the ultimate sacrifice. I'm in spoilers, I told you. So, sorry. But I really loved that when the way he went out was really great and really completed his character's arc. Now, the one thing I didn't like, I think it's probably a lot of people's only gripe about this movie, is Ares. I was not a big fan of it. I just didn't like, I don't know, it felt really forced. He felt very forced into, like, when they had him show up, just didn't, like, they tried to do a twist, but there was no hints at that twist beforehand, and so it was like, okay, so you created a twist because you wanted a twist and didn't set it up in any way, so it's not really a twist. It's oh yeah, you got me, because there's no way I possibly could have predicted that, because there's nothing to hint at it. And then it just felt, it was a CGI fest, kind of. I will say I kind of liked the fight sequence between her and him, because she is supposed to be a god at the end of the day, and so I didn't totally mind that they had to put that larger-than-life thing into it, but it just felt like this movie was so much about like showing how human this character was, and so it felt a little ridiculous to just throw that in at the end and not have, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't love that part of it. I honestly, this is gonna go, I'm not gonna make another video about it because then it would just be the same video that I already made, but you'd be waiting to see where Wonder Woman is. But this is definitely in my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Possibly in like I think in like the top 3 maybe, like actually. But I decided the one thing that definitely does not, for me personally, and I know this is a totally different movie than The Dark Knight, obviously. But even just looking at how well The Dark Knight did what it was trying to do, and how well Wonder Woman did what it was trying to do in their own respects. The thing that does not make this, for me, as good as The Dark Knight, not quite, is, and what I think would have made it at least as good, if not pushing Wonder Woman to number 1, is if there was no Ares. Is if the whole time she was fighting, like, to find Ares and take him down, and then at the end, when she killed the wrong guy, it just turned out Ares wasn't a part of this. And it was all just people, and she had to figure out how to stop the war on her own, and had to learn the lesson that, like, you can't just blame a person and all that. And they kind of tried to still have her learn that lesson, but they did it with Ares still being behind it, so it felt kind of like, I don't know, it felt kind of like halved to me, like they had that lesson, then were like, but it's not totally, yeah, sure, people are, but it was just like, I don't know, that was the one thing that was like, if they had just done that, this movie would have been perfect for me. That being said, this movie still has an A+. Like, I loved every minute of this movie. I even loved the ending of this movie afterwards. I love the final shot where she's like jumping really high into the sky, and it like close zooms in on her, and I loved that, like, the whole thing was just her like looking at the picture, and that they had like minor ties to the rest of the DC universe, but didn't focus too much on it, so it like felt like a part of that same world, but was its own story entirely and didn't dabble in it. I love that it didn't have some forced end credit sequence that would, not to say that, like, I love a lot of Marvel's end sequences, but like in this movie, this movie just would not have felt right if you put one in this movie, and I'm really glad that they didn't. Because they totally could have, and we all would have dealt with it, but they didn't. So that was great, and oh, guys, this movie is fantastic. I'm really happy that I'm about to go watch like 3 different movie reviewers talk about spoilers with it, because I've been avoiding those videos for a while, and I just want to hear more people talk about how great it was, because I loved this movie so much. So thank you guys for letting me rant about that. I think like tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to try to find time to make a video just talking about my excitement for Spider-Man Homecoming, because that's the next big movie that I'm really excited for. Okay, I'll take that back. The next big movie that I'm really excited for is actually Baby Driver. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but that just looks like a really great, like, Edgar Wright film. I'm very excited about that. But Spider-Man is the next big superhero movie I'm excited for, and it's the thing I'm most excited about, like, that's coming up soon. It's the thing that I'm most excited about, because Spider-Man's my homie. So, can't wait for that. Anyway, so I should probably go to bed now. I at work in the morning, but, yeah, I'll make that video about Spider-Man real soon. Thanks for hearing my thoughts on Wonder Woman. If you haven't seen it yet, I just spoiled a bunch of stuff for you, so I'm sorry, but I warned you, and go watch it anyway, because I still think you'll be blown away by it. Despite this, I honestly think I would have been if I got all that spoiled for me. But anyway, signing off now. See you guys later. Bye bye.